Welcome to everybody who's joined us. Thank you for your time. And my name is Diana Cabrices. I am the Chief Evangelist at Wealthtender. So my role is really getting out and educating advisors on how to get, credibility built online, like really expand that digital footprint. I've been in this industry for about 9 years. My fiance is a financial advisor. So you guys are my world, and I love teaching you about technology and marketing and all the different ways you can grow. All right, so enough about us. We're going to get started here. First things first, as with any marketing strategy, especially with testimonials, please be sure to speak with your compliance officer, with your compliance team before collecting online reviews or getting started with testimonial marketing. And if you ever have questions around compliance, we're also always a resource for you. Brian, I love to call this out. I think it's important to share. He's a member of the National Association of Compliance Professionals. So truly, when we say we're here as a resource, we absolutely are. Okay, moving along. What are we going to specifically cover today? If you've joined my webinars in the past, you know I like to lay this out up front so you know what you're getting into. First things first, why did we launch this thing? If you've been following Wealthtender for the past few years, you know that we are an online find an advisor directory. We are the leading find an advisor directory. We also have the testimonial capacity in our platform built out to help you collect your testimonials compliantly and also promote them through our directory, where we have about 500,000 consumers visiting every single year. And now we're taking this next step into really making sure that you can do that in a beautiful and eye-catchy way. We also help advisors get in the media. So there's a lot of things that we do here, but we wrap it up into one simple to use platform. We're going to cover that. We'll cover who the studio is for, because we know we've got a bit of different audience here. We've got some financial advisors with us today. We've got some marketing assistants, some enterprise firms. So we'll break that down, and we'll even talk about how, in your role, what that experience might look like using the Testimonial Marketing Studio. We'll do a live reveal. You're going to see it in action. And then we'll have our open audience Q&A. There will be 2 resources at the end of this webinar to help you. So we'll make sure that we get to that part, and we'll give you a QR code and you can download some free resources. Okay, Brian, why did we launch Testimonial Marketing Studio?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, we've been really excited to see the advisors and the wealth management firms who have really leveraged Wealthtender to collect those reviews compliantly, get them working on Wealthtender. They start showing up in search results, so strengthening SEO. They're now showing up in tools like ChatGPT. So the next generation of tools getting found out there as well. And of course, many of the advisors in our community have also now started publishing those reviews on their website using tools from Wealthtender. And it's terrific to see the testimonials working there as well. What many people don't realize is that there is an opportunity to then also promote your testimonials individually, whether it's on social media or in other marketing activities. But of course, the SEC does have some additional stipulations in terms of how to do that. So we've provided a lot of education over the last few years to help advisors understand how you can do it, but we haven't until now provided a platform to really make it super easy and let us help you do it with just a couple of clicks. So we'll go through that today. And importantly, what I'm really excited about, and again, I see many of the advisors in our community that are on the call today, you have already begun separating yourself from 95% of the advisors across the country simply by collecting and publishing your reviews. And now with Testimonial Marketing Studio, we really feel you can join the top 1% who are also promoting and incorporating those reviews and testimonials into your marketing activities. So that's ultimately what it's all about. We're here to help you convert more prospects into clients. And this is an incredibly powerful way to do just that.
Absolutely. You couldn't have said it better myself. And truthfully, this is a fast track, if you will, to standing out against your competition. And that competition includes some of these, advisors that are with the big name wirehouses, which their names do carry some weight with people who hold wealth. Not all the time, but they do carry weight. And so it's an instant way to stand out against some of the competition, whether big or small. Okay, and I want to kind of dive in a little bit deeper here before we get into who the studio can actually help. This is a statistic that came from a survey done back in January of 2023. So I would imagine that the numbers are even larger today, as just, consumer behavior really does rely on reviews in every sector out there, not just in financial services. But 81% of consumers said that online reviews are important or very important when making decisions about financial services. So when they're deciding who to partner with, who to hire, when they're doing their research, they're looking for reviews. So this isn't just for attorneys anymore. This isn't just for doctors anymore or other trust-based professionals. It's not just the restaurant you're going to or the plumber you're hiring. It's also your financial team. So this is very important to think about, especially if you're not doing a testimonial marketing strategy already. So here's the truth. Most advisors struggle with actively promoting their reviews, even if you're already in the process of putting a compliance policy in place and you're asking your clients for reviews. And that resource I mentioned that I'll show you at the end of this webinar gives you all the templates and all of the framework to just do that. Step one, right? Put the stuff into place. But even as you start doing it, like, how can you get eyeballs on your reviews? How can you get people to stop their scroll on social media when there's so much distraction to say, oh, I like that. I want to really tune into that. Well, the solution is something that can help you do that quickly, right? Instantly create catchy content to spotlight your reviews. So welcome to the Testimonial Marketing Studio. I'm going to show you a really quick, about 1 minute long video. Hopefully you can hear it, but regardless, we're going to give you a live tour. But let's take a quick look. Client testimonials are one of the most powerful marketing tools advisors can use to convert more prospects into clients. But here's the catch. Most testimonials never get the spotlight they deserve. That's where Wealthtender's Testimonial Marketing Studio comes in. Imagine turning your glowing online reviews into scroll-stopping social posts and powerful prospect campaigns, all in just a few clicks. Whether you're an advisor or marketing pro, this tool is compliance-friendly, intuitive, and saves you hours of work. It's like CANVA for advisors, but already set up to make a beautiful testimonial spotlight compliantly in just seconds. Here's how it works. Step one, select from one of our professionally designed templates and instantly create your project. Step two, choose which testimonial you'd like to feature and then click continue. And step three, download your stunning new graphic and post it to your social channels. It's truly that easy. Advisors and marketing pros like Denise at Midland Financial say it best. It's fast, easy, and impactful. Ready to turn your testimonials into catchy content that wins clients? Visit wealthtender.com/studio today. Okay, hopefully some of you could hear that. I know sometimes there's a little bit of a lag with Zoom. We just got a comment, love Denise at Midland Financial. We have to agree, she is a rock star, as is her husband, Larry. So we're big fans. Okay, moving along here. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, compliance. Compliance is super important when it comes to testimonial marketing. So Brian, I'd love your take here. What's going on in the compliance world around testimonials?
Sure. So we'll get the fear factor out of the way. And again, importantly, we've seen such great success designing Wealthhtender to be compliant. And to the SEC's credit, it's really not that hard. Now, with that said, the SEC feels similarly. And I think that's why the fines that they assessed in their sweep back in September that was announced here, the smallest fine paid by an RIA, and these were not sizable firms, was $60,000. And so the SEC is really putting this out there to say you've had years to prepare for this. We really made it straightforward. You shouldn't feel that it's that hard to comply. And if we come in and you are either trying to get a little too cute or just negligent and not paying attention to the rules, then you're going to pay the price. Now, with that said, this isn't really something, of course, it's important to be, quote, afraid of compliance, but importantly, this isn't something that should stop anyone from feeling like they can move forward with online reviews and promoting testimonials for the very reason that, again, to the SEC's credit, it's very clear what to do and, of course, what not to do, but very clear what you can do in order to be compliant. And that's where we've taken everything at Wealthhtender to build from the ground up to have that compliance first approach.
Love it. Let's talk about what that looks like. And just this is a very simplified version. Can you talk through these disclosures?
Sure. So what most advisors on Wealthhtender that have collected reviews now are very well aware. In order for a review to be compliantly published on an online review platform, the SEC requires 3 clear and prominent disclosures that we like to refer to as the 3 C's. So First, whether or not the individual who wrote the review, if they're a client or not, that needs to be prominently disclosed within that four corners of the review that's visible on an online review platform. Then, whether or not the individual that wrote that review has a conflict of interest, and that would need to be disclosed as well. And finally, if there were any compensation paid by the advisor to that individual to write the review, that would need to be disclosed as well. Now, we've helped advisors collect thousands of reviews, and the vast majority of times it's a current client who was not compensated and has no conflicts of interest. And importantly, there is a little bit more to this where online reviews can't have prohibited content, where, if an individual was talking about promissory language, investment performance that couldn't be validated through statements of fact, that's something that you would need to be concerned about. But what we see when people write reviews is they're talking about the way you as an advisor make them feel 99% of the times. But anyway, those are the three disclosures that are required when you have all of your reviews in one place. And the SEC really considers that to be a representative list of reviews, so that if an individual is reading your reviews, they can see those three clear and prominent disclosures with each review. But importantly, they can also see every review that you've received, or a representative list, which the SEC feels important. The SEC, of course, then also acknowledges that social media is a thing. And to their credit, they realize there's not a lot of real estate in social media posts to include a lot of disclosures. So they literally require that these disclosures be very succinct. And if you're only promoting a single testimonial, they say it's important to provide a couple of additional disclosures, since unlike an online review platform where every review can be viewed, that you need to also include two additional elements. One, language indicating that that single testimonial is not representative, and that can be done literally in 3 words: views not representative. And then provide somebody who's looking at that post on social media, or it could be on a flyer that you print out, it could be on a billboard. It's to simply provide a link where an individual can go and read a representative list of all of your reviews. And so what we've done with Wealthtender is taken it a step further. Just as you see on every profile page on Wealthtender, those 3 clear and prominent disclosures, what we then also incorporate into Testimonial Marketing Studio are those additional disclosures that then link back to your Wealthtender profile page, where that representative list of reviews can be read. And importantly, that then satisfies that compliance requirement, allowing you to promote a single testimonial.
Yeah, man, I bet 5 years ago, advisors were not thinking that they could ever put a testimonial on a billboard. That would be pretty cool. And you can do it. You just need the right disclosures. So this is great. And this is exactly what the Testimonial Marketing Studio and Wealthtender as a whole, like we're adding all of these disclosures for you. Like there's no guessing or, oh wait, what do I need to write again? Like it's literally all built in. So wonderful. Thank you, Brian, for talking through compliance. It's really important. Let's talk about who exactly the studio is built for. So first things first, it's built for financial advisors. If you have clients, if you want to, win new clients over, if you're trying to prospect, grow your book of business, this is a great tool for you. Marketing teams as well. So some of you are your marketing person, and this is a great tool for you because it's so simple, but you might have 1 or 2 people who are supporting your marketing, whether those are virtual assistants or people in-house. However that looks for you, your marketing team can get their hands in here and start creating content that spotlights these testimonials. And then finally, compliance officers. So we've already started rolling this out at one of the largest RIAs in the industry, and their compliance team is all over this. This is their baby. This is, part of their review process at this point. And so we can really integrate this into your company. Who else is the studio built for, Brian?
Sure. So whether it's in-house staff like Diana just covered, also support staff, which could of course be in-house, but also think about how you can focus your time as an advisor on those activities that are most impactful and where you ultimately earn the most bang for your buck. Delegating out these types of activities, where the Testimonial Marketing Studio is really a tool that, whether it's in-house or if you have a virtual assistant, they can really play a leading role in putting these social media posts or marketing activities and campaigns together for you. Of course, with the caveat that ultimately you need to be responsible for ensuring that those disclosures are correct. But there's a lot of opportunities here to delegate out work, whether it's support staff in-house or otherwise. Also, if you're working with a marketing consultant, marketing agencies, it's a great opportunity for them to roll up their sleeves and on your behalf, just as many of them may be taking on some of the different marketing activities for you, we can get them into the studio to help run point And then, of course, your compliance consultants. We have great rapport, as Diana mentioned, with compliance professionals that have reviewed this platform. They're excited about the way that it's designed with that compliance first approach. So them having the opportunity to know that you're using a tool like Testimonial Marketing Studio to promote your testimonials is one less thing for them to then have to worry about.
That's awesome. So many good examples here. And we've already had some of our agency partners who've said, hey, we're going to roll this out to all of our clients. And like we're creating our own logins. So there's so many ways to really get involved with the studio. Thank you, Brian. Most importantly, the studio is built for you. So if you're on this call, you are a great candidate for the Testimonial Marketing Studio. And we're so excited to show you how this works live. Brian is going to share his screen. But before he does, I just wanted to share one last time in case you didn't grab this in the video. This is Denise Milano Sprung. She is the marketing director at Midland Financial Group. You may have seen her husband somewhere online. He's pretty active in the advisor community, Lawrence Sprung, and they're passionate marketers. And so we knew when we were rolling this out, we wanted to get their opinion. We wanted to get their hands in the tool. We wanted their feedback. I mean, we've been testing this now for a few months as we've been building it with advisors and advisory firms and enterprises, getting that feedback, making these tweaks. And here we are today, finally able to do this awesome live reveal with all of you. So thank you so much, Denise, for these kind words. All right, it is time. I am ready to get inside of this actual testimonial marketing studio. So Brian, I'm going to hand the reins over to you here. And again, just as you get this pulled up, I just want to remind folks, if you're here, please feel free to leave questions in the chat box. Looks like some of you have already started. Wonderful. You can also use the Q&A box. We'll get to the Q&A here in just a moment.
All right. Well, thanks for the handoff, Diana. And you should now see the profile page for Jane Demo, a financial advisor with a profile on Wealthtender. I want to start there because that's really where it all begins. So in the case of Jane, like the many hundreds of advisors now on Wealthtender, we'll see a lot of great information about Jane focused on SEO, search engine optimization. And we can see, of course, she has 5 reviews. And as we look below her profile, we're going to see each of the reviews that she's received. And as we mentioned in my remarks earlier, accompanying each of these reviews are those 3 disclosures required by the SEC. So we can see this individual is grateful for Jane. The relationship to the advisor is that Sally is a current client and she was not compensated to write the review, and no material conflicts of interest. So Jane now has 5 reviews on her Wealthtender profile. And when we set her up in the Testimonial Marketing Studio, this is actually the settings area where we can see Jane's information that is pulled in from her Wealthtender profile. And what you'll see here, of course, is the information exactly synchronized. We can see her name and her designation, the tagline dedicated to growing your wealth, her headshot, along with that QR code. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And then what we refer to as a short URL. So in the case of the URL for a financial advisor, as you're aware, sometimes those URLs can be a little lengthier. And one of the things we wanted to do, and you'll see this in the different types of studio designs that you can create, is provide a URL back to the Wealthtender profile page that's as short as possible. So we actually, in addition to owning the domain wealthtender.com, we own the domain wt.reviews. So that in itself is shorter. And then when you have a studio account set up, we truncate that further to simply put your name within that URL. So in the case of Jane, instead of her URL being wealthtender.com/financial-advisors-demo, her short URL is very easily wt.reviews/demo-jane. So that in itself, you'll see embedded within a lot of the designs, again, to not only satisfy that compliance requirement, but to also make it very clear and easy to that consumer, to that prospect, that it's easy for them to go and see that representative list of reviews by simply typing in that URL. The QR code, the SEC says it doesn't have to be a link. And in fact, it doesn't have to be a clickable link. So the nature of having a very easy to read, easy to type URL is important. The SEC also says you could use a QR code. So we've provided both. Some designs will only include the short URL spelled out. Others will include the QR code. But one way or the other, it's very important that every individual testimonial that you promote includes either a typed out link to a place with that representative list of reviews, like your Wealthtender profile, or a QR code that accomplishes the same goal. So again, this is the settings within the studio. If you were so inclined, you can overwrite this information if you wanted to update your headshot for specific use in the studio designs that you're creating. You've got some functionality there. And then if you want to create a project, you're going to see multiple templates that you can choose from, some of which, as we can see examples of on the left side of the page, are image files. So if you're looking for a straightforward image testimonial that you can incorporate into a social media post, you can do that. And then, of course, we do want these to be very eye-catching as well. And increasingly, we see not only consumers that are scroll stopping when they see video, but we also see the algorithms really looking to video posts as having greater consumer engagement, and then quite often rewarding you for that by putting that out there longer, spreading it to more of your audience, and potentially resulting in greater engagement and clicks. So several designs to choose from. I think we're up to around 20. You'll see some that have more of a fun outdoor theme, others that might be more seasonal as we approach Valentine's Day that has, hearts that are coming down the page, or others that will just kind of make fresh and different throughout the year. And I think one of the things that's important, so in the case of Jane, she has 5 reviews, and it doesn't have to be that those individual reviews only get promoted one time. When you take that one review, and now you have all of these different designs that you can use in your social media activities, you can incorporate that same review into multiple designs, and it's always going to feel fresh to your audience, even if a couple of months prior, maybe they did see it before, but they haven't seen that fresh design that you're sharing this time around. Beyond the templates that you can choose from, you'll then have the ability to come in to see all of the projects that you've created. In this case, we can see several projects that Jane has already created. And if you are a user of the studio and you want to create a new project, you can come over to the project wizard. And from here, it's very straightforward to simply indicate if you want to choose a template that's going to be an image file or a video file. For today, we'll just take an example of an image file where this will now give us the ability to choose from multiple image file templates. And what you'll see here are, a few with different designs, different colors. And what we're able to now do is decide, okay, which of these templates would I like to use to create a post? Let's go ahead and select this aqua blue. And this will then pull up a preview again of that review that you can expect. And now Jane, having those 5 reviews on her Wealthtender profile, can come down and choose which of those reviews she would like to feature. So I used to always feel blue about my personal finances, so that feels appropriate to put in a blue themed post. So we're simply going to click on that review, click continue, and then within a handful of seconds, or in the case of a video file, could take up to a minute, you'll see that project rendered, and then the information that we just pulled in incorporated into the project itself. So as that comes up, what you'll then see is the project incorporating that review that we imported. And importantly, you're going to see all of those disclosures that are required here as well. So this may be a little bit small on your screen, but what you'll see now below that testimonial, and again, to the SEC's credit, this is exactly how succinct it can be. This isn't like the pharmaceutical industry that has a page full of disclosures with super fine print that nobody actually reads. And the SEC said, we want to make sure people read these disclosures, which is why we know they're going to need to be short and succinct and provide a way for advisors to be able to do that. And so what you'll see here is that link that says read more reviews at wt.reviews/demojane. So that's accomplished one of the disclosure requirements that we mentioned earlier, providing a link to that representative list of all reviews that in this case is the Wealthtender profile page. And then just with 2 sentences after that phrase, we're knocking out all of those additional disclosure requirements. We mentioned the 3 C's. This client has no conflicts of interest and received no compensation for their review. Views not representative. That's it. So again, to the SEC's credit, this is a very powerful way for advisors, even with limited real estate and social media, to now be able to compliantly promote your reviews. With that, we can also see a couple of additional options within the project. If, let's say, there were grammatical errors within the review, or if you wanted to add some spacing, or if this were a really lengthy review, you have the ability to come in and say, okay, let's take the portion of that review that we want to focus on given the real estate that's provided, and utilize that within the social media post. Now, the one caveat I would mention here is when we talk about potentially editing a review, it's important, of course, we're not changing the context of the review. If, for example, somebody wrote a review that started off with sentence 1 with really glowing things to say, but then sentence 2 starts off with the word but, and then they have some negative things to say, it would not be appropriate to just take the positive remarks and exclude the negative remarks. The reality in practice is that people who are writing reviews love their advisors, and the context of what they're saying throughout that review is consistently positive. And so for that very reason, you're not losing any context by just taking a portion of that testimonial in those instances. And again, given limited real estate, instead of having really fine print to try and cram in that sizable testimonial, you can take a relevant portion of that and incorporate that into the design. So to do that, you would simply come down to this edit review panel, make any edits. If you also didn't want to put Sally's last name, you could adjust this to just say Sally S. Click that save button and then come up to the regenerate button, click regenerate, and then give it a few seconds and you'll see that project now regenerated. And then from there, again, very easy to download. Of course, we do want to always emphasize the importance of double checking those disclosures. If you need to edit those disclosures, simply click on that edit review disclosure button. And then as you come down here, you're going to see the default disclosure that you can come in and override with whatever needs to be updated based on the nature of the client relationship. And with that, I think we'll turn it back to you, Diana, and to the additional slides that we had there as well. You're on mute.
Thank you, Brian. That was awesome and truly just a taste of what capabilities the platform has. There's a few questions I kind of want to get to here. So
Sure.
Just as we take a quick pause. So we have a few questions here regarding the studio. Someone said, would it still be compliant to put a portion of the disclosure in the caption of a post?
Sure. So it's a good question. We have taken the approach of really trying to ensure that you've got everything right there encapsulated within the design itself. Now, the social media posts that you create, we haven't talked about that. But when you're creating a social media post, you of course have the ability to upload an image, upload a video, and then thinking about the context you want to add in that social post. We do see some advisors and firms that will include a link directly back to their Wealthtender profile page within that social post, which is a great way to really make it even easier for an individual to read that representative list of reviews. Plus, it accomplishes the goal that we are trying to get that prospect to book an appointment. And by clicking through to your Wealthtender profile page, that makes it very easy for them to click the button to set up that introductory call with you as well. And I do think, it would very much be a belts and suspenders approach if you wanted to also add disclosures within the body of the social media posts that you create. But I would take a little bit of caution if you are thinking about adding a design like this that doesn't incorporate the disclosures. And again, this would be a bit of a stretch, but if somebody took that testimonial from your social media post and they downloaded it themselves and they used it somewhere, or they copied it into an email and said, hey, I see this testimonial that you posted online. I'd love to have a conversation. And then the SEC comes in and it's like, well, I see this email where this client provided a testimonial that they shared that clearly you created that doesn't have any disclosures in it. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? And then you have to try and explain, well, I created a social media post and it was over there. So short story, again, I think because the SEC has done such a great job of allowing these types of designs to take such little real estate of what is already a finite amount of real estate, it's better to just incorporate directly into the design. Then again, there may be some tail risk type issues out there, but and not likely to arise. But we just want to take that safer approach to mitigate that risk.
Yeah, and we've been really intentional with these designs. We leave enough space so that you focus those eyes directly on the review, but you still have the disclosures necessary underneath it. One more quick question, and then we're going to move along. How often will templates be refreshed? And the reason I said a moment ago that you just got a taste, because you really didn't even get to see all the beautiful templates in there. There is a lot more in there, but let's talk about that, Brian. I do think that's important.
Yeah, so we're really excited to continue rolling out templates throughout the year in order to ensure that you have that fresh experience, as well as a lot of different templates to choose from. So today we have around 20, a mix of static image files as well as those animated files. And as I mentioned, that we've got some cute ones out there for Valentine's Day. We're working on some for St. Patrick's Day. And throughout the year, the goal is to continue to drop and release new templates that will not only align with holidays, but also just more creative themes in general, so that your social media thread can really stand out relative to other advisors and relative to what consumers are seeing. There's obviously a lot of scroll stopping content out there, especially today. And it's not that often that it comes from financial advisors. So this is going to be a great way to compete, if you will, with some of these other social media superstars that are out there that are spending all sorts of crazy dollars creating all sorts of weird posts to get people's attention.
Yes, the financial influencers who are not licensed are really winning a lot of audience share because they do have catchy content. So that's why we're really trying to help you as financial advisors who are licensed do this, but do it in the right way, do it in the compliant way. Okay, I want to move along. There was a point that I was just going to make here, but it totally went over my head. So thank you, Brian, for expanding on that.
Sure.
Okay, well, there's a few ideas here that we thought we could incorporate as well, just to give you some inspiration. Whether you want to do something like a 5-star Friday, and we'll talk through this here in a second. And then there's another example on the next slide. The thing I was going to mention was that we didn't call this out when we did the demo, but we don't just have the same type of graphic sizing. So you can do square graphics or videos, and you can also do vertical graphics or videos. And I think that's important to call out because some of you might be really leaning more into YouTube shorts or Instagram reels, right? And those are excellent for those. And then some of you might just want something a little bit more traditional and horizontal. So you've got both options. All right, let's talk about Russ Thornton. We love Russ Thornton. He is an awesome advisor. He works with women specifically, and he launched his own sort of 5-star Friday. And so, Brian, anything to add here?
Yeah, so just, having fun with it, right? We've got so much stuff we have to do in our profession to be buttoned up and compliant. And when it comes to marketing, this is really exciting because again, once you knock out those disclosure requirements, you can have some fun with it. And many of you are already taking advantage of social media to compliantly promote thought leadership and to periodically share additional updates around your firm. And now with the testimonials, it's just a fun way, whether it's 5-star Friday, which I think Russ Thornton has done a great job. And it doesn't have to be every Friday, but it's catchy. Or Jeff Schlotterbeck in Tampa doing Testimonial Tuesday. And this is actually a good example of, I think just this week, an animated design that he created inside the studio and posted, and just to have some fun with it. So, it's scroll stopping, people are paying attention, and having something fun like Testimonial Tuesday, that's going to resonate. So when you hear from a prospect and they're like, oh, I actually booked that appointment, I was just on social media and I saw that testimonial that was out there and Testimonial Tuesday, and they might go, ha ha ha. But it's just a fun way to incorporate this into your marketing activities, and an easy way to remember, oh yeah, like I'm going to do Testimonial Tuesday every other week, or 5-star Friday on the weeks in between. And don't feel, of course, that you have to do it every single week. What's important is that you're just really getting your clients' stories heard. And important to think about your clients' reviews. It's exactly that. Each one really is a short story talking about their experience. And it's just such a powerful way to resonate with those prospects. You never know which review and which story is really going to resonate and be the one that's like, wow, okay, clearly this is the advisor that I need to hire.
Yeah, it's really an emotional driver of their buying decision. And so much of a buying decision, economic buying decisions, are based on emotion. And so when you read these things, you get that social proof. Like, what are other people saying about this advisor? Or maybe they said something that really touched my soul because I'm going through that exact thing, or I have that same need. And so it is such a good way to really tune in to that emotional side of buying. So this is psychology, folks, and great marketing is based off of psychology. All right, so beyond social media, because some of you might be thinking, well, I don't use social that much. Well, I encourage you to use social because it's really important. But if you are like, where else can I really use this? There's so many different opportunities. So, prospect newsletters, we're going to talk about Google, hosting seminars and webinars. If you've been following my work, you know I talk a lot about this. This is an amazing way to validate, you know, for those prospects who attended your event, like why should they work with you? Lead magnets, even postcard mailings. Brian, let's open up to this, and then folks, I think our Q&A is just going to be right on the tail of this, so we will get there in just a moment. Let's talk about Google first and foremost.
Sure. And everything we've covered up until this point regarding how you can compliantly promote your testimonials, a single testimonial on social media, is applicable in pretty much any other form of marketing. And so we want to make sure, depending upon the types of marketing activities that are important to you, we want to help you kind of get those creative juices flowing in terms of ways that you can leverage your testimonials beyond just social media. So as Diana mentioned with Google business profiles, right? Now, again, whole nother story, and we could do a whole webinar on some of the compliance concerns around Google reviews and that aspect of Google business profiles. But one of the things, of course, with Google business profiles, if you frequently anticipate people Googling the name of your business and not just you, then of course that Google business profile, keeping that up to date is important. And you may be aware that in addition to the little map that shows up in a Google business profile, you can upload images, and a lot of businesses upload pictures of their office and the exterior of their building, but you can also upload any type of image and videos. And so this gives you an opportunity with the resources you've created inside the Testimonial Marketing Studio. And again, why it's important in our minds to have those disclosures embedded in each and every one of those is that beyond social media, you can upload those images. And now if somebody goes to your Google business profile, they see those images, they see those animated videos, and it's creating more engagement on your Google business profile. They're reading these reviews compliantly with all the appropriate disclosures. And then from there, they can click through if they want to get to your website or book an introductory call, they can do that. And ultimately, having that type of content on your Google business profile, if that means that people are spending more time on your Google business profile, then Google recognizes that and says, wow, there's something here, there's greater engagement. We should probably show this Google business profile even more often.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So yes, thinking about that, I don't think a lot of advisors think about how they can upload those photos there beyond just the office. And people do look through those photos. So that is an excellent idea to leverage the power of Google, because it is powerful, and at the same time, stay compliant. And, you know, again, Brian mentioned we could have a whole webinar on Google. I think just from a very high level, when you think about it, the reviews on Google do not have disclosures. Your clients aren't typing their review and then typing the disclosures underneath it. They don't even understand that. And so if you're out there actively saying, go Google reviews, you're kind of out of compliance because you are promoting now reviews that don't have disclosures. So this is an awesome way to still lean in to the power of the traffic that Google gets. That's also a good point about the power of Wealthtender, because we do fall within that you know, sort of side panel on Google where you've got that profile, you've got, you know, if you do have Google reviews, you've got your images, you've got your map, and then we're also recognized as an official review site. So we will pull in reviews. Google will pull in reviews. It'll say from Wealthtender, it'll give you your star rating, and then it'll link that there. So using the power of Google in ways that we can, but also, you know, balancing being compliant as well. Okay, one last testimonial. We love Gary Barrasso. He's the president and founder of United Financial Planning Group, which is a growing firm. And he says, Wealthtender is one of the best decisions we have made as a firm. I wish we had done it sooner. And we have a whole case study on how he leverages Wealthtender, how his team leverages Wealthtender. In fact, Brian, if you happen to have it handy and can drop it in the chat, I think that would be awesome for our audience here today. All right.
Will do. That sounds great.
As you do that, if you've got questions, folks, I know there's a few I haven't gotten to, but if in case you have to hop off, I did want to just open up 2 quick resources for you here. If you want to get started with the Testimonial Marketing Studio in less than 2 minutes, you can just scan this QR code. It'll take you to our landing page, and there's a button that says Get Started. There is also a button that says Book a Demo. If you want to look a little bit deeper and do a one-on-one chat with us, you're welcome to do that. So again, you can scan this QR code. I'll also drop in the chat box the website. So if you just want to click a link instead of scanning a code, there you go. That's the page that this QR code will take you. I just dropped it in the chat. Again, you can get started in less than 2 minutes. And we are going to talk about pricing. That's important. You're probably wondering how much this costs. But if you're not interested yet, you're just kind of getting your feelers, you're you're really trying to build out your compliance policy, this is a free testimonial marketing playbook that we built. And this really lays it out A through Z, how to ask your clients, an email template to ask your clients, what do you need to know about disclosures? What are other firms doing? It truly is available for you here at this QR code. So feel free to scan that as well. All right, let's get back to our questions. We have a few good ones, and I'll just leave this slide up here on the screen for those of you who are interested. So there's some really good questions that we got here. You guys are super intentional, and clearly you're engaged. And there's some important ones. So is there a way to customize the templates to my firm's brand colors? We knew this one was coming. Ryan?
Sure. So where we are today, and appreciate the question, is creating a number of different templates with different color schemes so that you can pick and choose and decide which ones may be a good match based on the colors of your firm. And we do anticipate a little bit later in this year that we'll have within many of the templates the ability for you to select in alternative colors to better align with your business. With that said, we've described two different types of designs, animated designs, and designs that are more like image files. Those image files are by definition going to be much more conducive to having the flexibility to swap out different colors versus like we did a bit of a preview of a gold drizzling down. Gold is gold. And those types of animated files are probably going to be less flexible. But thank you for the question. And we do anticipate additional flexibility on many of the image files, especially a little bit further down the road this year.
And as a marketer, I just want to add a point here, something that I have tried to teach advisors over the years that I think is really important. Sometimes your brand colors, they may not be the best choice to grab someone's attention. Not saying you don't have a great brand, but a brand is not just your colors or your logo. Okay, a brand is an experience. A brand is how you make people feel. And to me, when you look at the confetti or the popping hearts, like those should be gold, those should be pink, and those are eye-catching, and those are something that are going to make me say, oh, like, what is this? This is really cool. Maybe not everyone, right? We're all different. We all have different preferences. But the point here is that not everything has to be perfectly branded to your brand colors. Especially if you're trying to build connections with people. Really, it's about them and it's about what they're going to like. So just there's a balance here, but we will definitely release some of those capabilities soon. So there was two questions that came in of that nature. So I'm going to go ahead and close that out. Okay, let's talk about the cost. Someone said, could you explain the cost? Is that in addition to Wealthtender membership? And there's a reason that we talked a little bit through what Wealthtender does, because this is an extension of Wealthtender. You do need to have a Wealthtender profile in order to use Testimonial Marketing Studio. So Brian, do you want to share screen or walk through that pricing page for our audience?
Sure, I'm happy to do that. I'll pull that up. And while I'm pulling that up, actually, I'll knock out one other question that we received a little bit earlier as well regarding what would be an example of a conflict of interest. So we talked about the three C's, whether or not an individual that wrote a review is a current client or not, if they were compensated to write the review, and if there are any conflicts of interest. And the short answer is anything that you feel, and ultimately, of course, what the SEC feels, could connote a conflict. Even if it's small, it should be disclosed. And again, it doesn't have to be a long, drawn out description. We have advisors that have glowing reviews, as you would hope and expect, from their mom. And it's a very simple disclosure to say, this review is shared by my mom. And people understand, okay, that's probably a little bit of a conflict, but as long as they have that context and transparency, it's totally suitable and the SEC is totally comfortable with it. In other instances, in a more business-like conflict of interest would be if, as an advisor, you have an accountant who refers business to you and vice versa, and they write a really glowing review about you. They have a vested interest in saying great things in order to receive that reciprocation of clients that you're sending their way. So that would simply also need to be disclosed, indicating that there is a business relationship and that accountant or estate attorney has a vested interest in saying positive things about you. So just something to be aware of there. Now, getting into the question of pricing. So we are really excited about where we are from a pricing perspective in terms of being not only industry leading in all of the benefits that we offer, but also the price point. So we've already established the pricing of Wealthtender below anything that you'll see in the marketplace for an online review platform. And there's nobody in the industry that's offering the types of tools that we're making available as well, let alone at this type of a price point. So what you'll see on our pricing page, and Diana can share the link in the chat as well, are 3 tiers. The Growth Essentials tier at $49 a month provides everything that you need to have the SEO optimized profile on Wealthtender, start collecting and publishing online reviews. And then as we move up to the Marketing Pro tier, that really incorporates everything that we've been talking about today, including all of the other benefits of being featured on Wealthtender, building authority in the media, and for just $79 a month. And this is on a monthly subscription, so there's no long-term contract. It's providing you with access to all of those Wealthtender benefits, including the Testimonial Marketing Studio. And of course, we do offer pricing discounts if you do choose and prefer to pay upfront for an annual plan. But we encourage you to get started with a monthly plan. Make sure that you feel Wealthtender is a good fit for your business. And then if so, feel free to switch over for a little bit more savings using that discounted annual plan. For the current advisors in the Wealthtender community who are on the call today, we also extended a special offer, and you should have that in your email if you want to add the Testimonial Marketing Studio onto your subscription. If you don't have that handy, feel free to just send me a note, brian@wealthtender.com, or if you do a little search, I'm sure you'll find it in your inbox, but happy to help you with that and getting started when you're ready.
Wonderful. That's awesome. Okay, so I just dropped the pricing page link in the chat for those of you who want to get a visual of what all this looks like. But again, the Marketing Pro option here is $79 a month, but if you pay yearly, it's $69 a month with that breakdown. And that includes all the bells and whistles, the profile, the SEO, the testimonial tool, the Testimonial Marketing Studio to promote your testimonials beautifully, the media opportunities. There's a lot going on here. Okay, we're going to just open it up for maybe a couple more minutes if there's any other questions here. Some of you have had to drop off here at the end, and some of you are still with us. So if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and drop them in the chat. Sarah, thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Thanks for spending the time with us. And let's see. Yeah, lots of cool people on this call. Thanks for being here, guys. And Brian, thank you so much. I know you've put a lot of passion into this project, into this new platform that you've built here. And what a cool moment to finally see this come alive. We've been talking about this for a long time. So here it is.
It is exciting. It's, again, been terrific to see the feedback from advisors so far, and just love being out on LinkedIn myself and seeing these posts that are being created and the engagement that they're getting. And ultimately, really excited to see more prospects and Americans across the board that have had that stigma historically of, well, what is an advisor? What can they really help me do? And fear of reaching out to just see that experience humanized in the stories that all of your clients are sharing. So it's really exciting for the industry as well.
Yeah, we have one really good question here. For anyone who hasn't done testimonial marketing at all, where is the best place to start?
Compliance. Just in case we still have compliance officers on the phone, I'll start by saying that. But no, well, I say yes. So start there. Again, it is important. If you're SEC registered, you've got the green light. If you're state registered, feel free to reach out. About half the states have synchronized to the SEC rule and permit testimonials. The others hopefully will soonish. And beyond that, we provide all the resources, checklists, templates to help advisors get started. Really appreciate the advisors on the call still today that have provided a lot of great feedback around the types of tools and resources that we have provided to help them get started. And ultimately, importantly, at the outset, the SEC does not want you cherry picking. So we provide a template that you can use to put an email out to all of your current clients, inviting them to write a review. So that's another important first step. And then just sit back and you'll start to see those reviews coming in. And once they do, that's when you'll be able to start taking advantage of some of these additional opportunities to publish those reviews on your website, to market those individual testimonials on social media and in your other marketing activities.
Awesome. That's a great pathway. And again, we have a playbook here for those of you who haven't really even gotten started yet with collecting your reviews, with putting a policy in place. This is a really good place to start. Whether you want to take a look at it or give it to your compliance team or your marketing team or both, this is a free playbook. So you can scan the QR code to download it. All right, with that, I say we wrap it up. I don't see any other questions. Some of you are still here with us. Thank you again for all of your time. Hopefully, you really liked what you had to see here today. And again, this is just more of a work in progress. There's going to be so much more feedback we'll get from more advisors that join us. We got some good comments even here today that'll inspire us to continue making this better and better and better. But remember, the goal here is that it's easy. It's simple. When I launched the marketing around Testimonial Marketing Studio, I said it's like Canva for advisors, but already built specifically for you. Because truthfully, Canva can be very overwhelming. There's a lot of different fonts and colors and shapes and sizes and templates. And if you're not a designer, it can actually be kind of overwhelming. That's not what we want here. We don't want to make this difficult because, again, at the end of the day, not everything has to be perfectly matching a specific set of brand colors. Really, they should just be matching the vibe of the content, right? And what people are going to say, oh, I like this, and what's going to stop people in their scroll. So we're very intentional about what we've built here. We've made it compliant. Hopefully that you've liked what you've had to see. If you have any questions, please, you can contact us. In fact, Brian, if you want to drop your email in the chat box, I'll also drop my email address as well in case any of you here want to reach out to us. We have a couple email addresses here. And it looks like somebody's AI tool is in the meeting and it gave everyone a nice little summary. So that is beautiful. Gotta love the power of AI. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks, Brian.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, everyone.